Hello, everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is Arrowfire, and welcome to another episode of All Talk No Shock, where today I am joined by a very special guest, Bisto. Bisto, say hello, everyone.
Hello, the Fireverse. How are you all doing?
Bisto, of course, is a well-established YouTuber, but we will cover all this at the end of the video. Today, we are talking about a subject that Bisto and I do quite enjoy, and we discuss between ourselves. We are talking about the third-party company, TransArt, and they do particularly Beast Wars Transmetal figures. You've seen me review these on my channel. You've seen these in Bisto's videos for his pickups. I believe it was of two of these figures in your top 5 or top 10 pickups for 2023, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was at least 2.
Yeah. Tarantulas and not Tarantulas, was it? Yeah, it was Tarantulas and
Tarantulas
Megatron.
and Megatron, yeah.
Oh.
Fire Warden, Josie!
No shock.
So we'll quickly go into this. TransArt, to me, just kind of came out of nowhere, and they started. I can't remember if they started with their Ravage from the Beast Wars cartoon, or if it was the Transmutate figure. It might have been the Transmutate one that came first. But they kind of came out of nowhere. And normally when a company starts up, it's a splinter off another one. It is generally what we see. Some designer leaves one company and starts up another company. But they came out of nowhere and they started to do Chrome. So what was, for the people watching, what was your first experience of TransArt as a company? When did you first hear of them?
Well, I'd seen, obviously, Transformers news and with Transmutate and with Ravage. I'm like, these look good, these. I'm not sure if they belong in my collection yet or anything like that, because, Transmutate, it's a non-transforming character, one episode only. It's kind of wasn't a big fan of that episode. So
I'm the same. Even though it's a well-revered episode, and a lot of Beast Wars fans do talk about, I don't get its importance. I get its message. For me, it didn't strike the chord as it has done with so many others. And I, like you, Bisto, I wasn't as taken with the Transmutate character enough to buy it for my collection.
The same with, I like Ravage as the character and how they introduced him into the Beast Wars and just like rebuilt G1 box. But essentially, here's a figure, you bend it over and it's transformed. So it wasn't, I'm like, I appreciate that they've done it, but it doesn't really, what does it really scale with, and what does it fit in with? But then, as obviously the line increases, we start getting in. And I mean, for me, my first one I pre-ordered was the Megatron, because I've always loved that figure, originally, and I've always wanted to. I've got one, on a shelf.
There you go.
Yeah, both modes. Yeah, we fully represent everyone. People, we planned this.
Almost as if we planned it. Yeah.
yeah. So I ordered him, and then the company that I ordered from were like, "Oh yeah, he's due soon. You've got to pay the full amount." So I paid the full amount, and then waited and waited and waited, and then other companies had sent them out, and then the run had stopped because there was something wrong with the electronics.
Oh yes.
So the company I know from didn't even get their allotment.
Wow.
So I just had to wait until the second lot had actually arrived before they actually even sent it out. So they had me money for a good 6 or so months before they even.
Yeah, because I'm glad you brought it up. And tell you what, before we go off on the other questions, let's talk about this Megatron. So I was iffy about getting it because I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think the original Transmetal toys are some of the best toys that have ever been made, and some of them still hold up today. And I loved my original version of this. And when I saw it being released, I thought, is it just the same toy again? Is it just a bit more bells and whistles, but mostly the same thing? And I thought, re-engineered or updated. And I thought, oh, do I really need to go down the route of it? Then I heard of all the electronic issues. So I missed the first batch completely. And it was a very long time when this came up for order again. you say 6 months, he felt like a year easily. And of course, they've taken the electrics out. You just got dead eye on it now, which I don't mind particularly. I think electric, or it gives that dead eye look.
Yeah.
But it's such a good figure. But I did struggle to get a hold of it, and I know people who did have problems with the electrics. They didn't get them replaced, to my understanding. If you wanted the electrics working or whatever,
I think they got a sticker sheet, didn't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and actually, in this one, probably you got the same. I got some eye stickers as well, and was like, but he's already got stickers on his eyes, and then
it's already done.
If you had it before, but I love that figure now. I know I was so taken by it, but I think that wasn't my first pickup, and I appreciate I'm answering the question I asked you now, but just because you mentioned on it, it was Rat Trap. I'm pretty sure of it. Which again, I wasn't so sure because I love the original toy. Is it just updated again? But I got it and I was like, wow, now I've got to go after Megatron. So you started off then and you eventually got Megatron. What? Oh, go.
Well, I pre-ordered Megatron.
But
in between times, Black Arachnia came out between the release. So Black Arachnia was my first one I received, and she's all right. She's not, there's not. I don't think there's anything special.
Very end of the cartoon, wasn't it?
She
was very late. Yeah.
So, like the original toy, she can't stand up. There's a lot of parts forming that goes on and everything like that. It's just a kind of this it's done. It's all right, but there's probably better figures out there. But then I also bought Rat Trap and Ravage. So I went back on myself and I actually did get Ravage, and it's so goofy. It's fun. He's a lot of fun. It's just,
as I found, like some of those, as much as I got on about TransArt, they have had a couple of figures that have been misses or underwhelming or just not quite there, and I haven't had that Black Arachnia, mostly because I never was a fan of that design. I was quite happy with her original design that she holds for most of the cartoon, and I just, when she turns into a Transmetal, I just kind of thought, well, you didn't need to. You're quite okay as you were, personally. It is, of course, a learning process because they are, as I understand it, a new company starting out. They're finding their feet. They're finding their ways.
Yeah, I think so, because like you say, often at times you think, oh, this is a splinter group from somebody else and somebody else. And these figures don't have a feel. Sometimes you get a figure and you go, I know this has come from the same factory as these ones have. Or I know this has been, there's some little design flourish, and you go, this is made by the same people who did that. And I don't get any of that with these.
So when you got some of these figures like a Rat Trap, or even to focus on Megatron, when you get the figures that wow you, then what is the ones that really stand out to you, and what is it about them that really catches your eye?
I mean, the chrome is exemplary. The chrome is just so stunning. I remember. I suppose it is similar to how the original figures were, but sorry, I should look at the camera rather than look at the figure. It's and there's something beefy about like Megatron. There's something. There's a bit of lightness to him, but there's something just so beefy about the leg ratchets and everything that goes going on there, and the face sculpts are great. It's just straight out of the show. Got very clean with the paint apps. Just everything about them is just. It was a good line of figures that they've improved. They've improved on. I think that's the thing. I think when we got from the Beast Wars, there were started to use of all ball joints and all these type technology things that tab in correctly. So some of the older Beast Wars figures, maybe things didn't even tab in. It was just this kind of goes there. Just imagine, just let your imagination keep it in place. But with this, everything like tabs in. The go all out on some of the articulation of the, the spider legs and stuff like that, and it's just a real joy to just mess around with and just have, and they really do just draw the eye. I think that's an eye-catching line, and I think that's one of the big points for it.
I think you said it best. It was already a good line that they just improved upon. And one figure that I absolutely adored and was my pickup for 2023, and I've seen you just picked him up there again in beast mode. You might have him in robot mode. The Tarantulas, original figure that I still adore to this day. The original one was so good, so much fun. But this is just that bit better. Anything from that perfect head sculpt, the transformation's good. I can't say so many good things about it or anything else that's better about it. It's a figure that completely wowed me. As much as I really like Rat Trap, as much as I like Megatron, and I've got some of the other ones since, this is still the standout figure that they've done. And it was always going to be with that chrome element. When you get that big sort of spider shield at the back, the camera does not do it justice. But that was the one that I and a lot of people were clambering after to say, when are you going to do this one? When are you going to get to that? Because the original one was so good. So going away from that then, what figure have you had from TransArt in particular that has disappointed you the most, that you've had in hand and said, do you know what, I wish that was better?
Well, I hate to say it's Quick Strike, isn't it?
Ooh, well, I'm not disagreeing, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is the one time where they have taken the original toy and kind of not made it quite as well. The use of the bendy wire as opposed to ball joints, it staggers me. It's like the original toy, that ball jointed tailhead was so much fun. So much fun. And for them to kind of go away from that, I think, like, we get these other figures. I mean, Tarantulas not so much, but Megatron, and some of the others, you get all these alternate heads and some things, specific things from the cartoon that you held in one episode. None of that.
Yeah, he doesn't come with really anything, does he?
He's just he is like harkening back to the fact that he was a bit, he was a basic figure. But they could have at least give us a water pistol in the tail, in the Cobra head.
You used to be able to squeeze it, didn't you?
Yeah.
He doesn't come with any. I'm thinking of it. He doesn't have any accessory because all of his guns were his scorpion tail, and he didn't come with anything, and it's I'm with you. It felt very underwhelming. It felt like a real miss, which for me, as much as that was underwhelming, I'm gonna have to go with he's right at the back of the collection in every sense of the word. He's right at the back of the collection is the Transmetal 2 Cheetor, which I got at TFN, which I kind of just picked up as a bit of a whim. But I got it off Primetime Toys, and it's just like, oh, let's grab it. Got it, and it's just like that. The tail is bendy wire again. I had my first experience of QC painting. It was like scuffed in places on the chrome. The chrome was nice. It had a nice pink chest to it, and it was very sizable. But he couldn't stand for shit, and it was a real letdown. As I understand, and I have now since got, and a review coming shortly, I've gone back to the Transmetal 1 Cheetor, which is very, very nice. But yeah, Transmetal 2, that is a miss for me. But Quick Strike does run it close.
Right. Well, I think I've not had as many issues with mine. He seems to stand okay.
Your Cheetor
Transmetal 2 Cheetor, but
maybe just me then.
He's but yeah, again, it was another kind of, this is a bare bones release. Here's his tail, here's his missile launcher, and they didn't even like have any kind of tabs so he could wield his tail as a weapon. And it,
just sort of holds it, doesn't he?
Yeah, it doesn't stick in very well to his bottom.
No, it doesn't. But you're right. Yeah, thinking of the trenches because I've just got them to hand here. You got little spider accessories, which is a nice little welcome. I wish they painted those yellow, but
Well, at least we got him.
yeah, it's 100% more on his little chainsaw gun, which is nice, and that figure is so good. It's and I really like Rat Trap. I love the original toy, and I really like him in his modes, and I like the character. He's a big rat, which rats are. But I like when you put him in his little Mad Max mode.
Yeah,
get the little jet pipes out. It's cool. There's fun to be had.
I've not tried getting Masterpiece Dinobot to ride him yet, but
it just about works.
Right.
Just about. It was one of the first things I did.
Well, it just about worked in the show as well. So
okay, so right, so a lot of TransArt figures are out there now, and we've gone from, we've got Primal, we've got Cheetor. A lot of the characters have been tackled, but there are some to come, and there are some noticeable ones to come. So I guess that's my question to you now, Bisto. Who are you most looking forward to the TransArt tackle next?
Oh, well, I think Dinobot 2 was one of my, I'd say one because I'm a dinosaur fan, and any transforming dinosaur I'm in for. I'm trying to think what else there is in that range. I think another topic maybe to think about where they go after this, because obviously there's only
I've got my question, so it's on there.
Yeah,
it's on there.
Right. But yeah, I think out of the ones that are presented, Dinobot 2, Silverbolts. That's
it's a leading question. Silverbolt, it's being worked on. And there was something that was put out and translated that it was going to be out by June. I'm skeptical of that actually being here. That's a very generous June. You think we're 6 weeks away from it, and we haven't seen a color image of any kind. We've seen a grey CAD and some prototypes being thrown up, and I've actually held off from getting the legacy version, Chug version, to I think that looks fine. And I thought, I could have it in my collection, but I thought, well, hold on, I'm going to get another one in a few months, so I don't need two of them. But I am looking forward to that. There is pre-order up, to which I've got mine in for Depth Charge, and how that's going to look, and very sizable, big manta ray, looking all nice and chromy. And of course, again, beloved toy from back in the day, which is Rampage.
Yeah.
And that's going to be high on my list and a lot of people's list. They're figures that I'm very much looking forward to. But Dinobot, okay, I'll quickly fire this at you now. Dinobot as a character is my favorite Beast Wars character. The Takara Masterpiece Dinobot probably still my favorite figure in the collection. It's the one I save in the event of a fire. It's pinnacle for me. Dinobot 2, I had no interest in. It just didn't scratch an itch for me at all. I didn't mind it. I liked the size of it, but I felt the design it didn't work for me. Although it was a character, if it were to remain in the show, I would have been happy with. But the whole personality change up to the very end. I was, again, much like Black Arachne, I was quite happy with the original design, just carrying on. Just my thing. But talking of Dinobot 2, we have seen, and I'll put some images up of this when the video goes out, but we've seen some KO believed KO images of Dinobot 2 going out, and it's been confirmed it isn't TransArt.
Right, it has been confirmed. Right.
Well, yeah. I say it's been confirmed. TransArt haven't said yes, but they haven't said no either. They haven't got anything towards it. The only thing I did think of is when we saw the photos of it, and it took me a while to think of this, it's a very similar backdrop to what they use for their photos. What's your take on it? You've seen all the stuff.
Well, I mean, you see all these leaks images all the time and of stuff, and all the leaked images that were previously saying this is, TransArt Dinobot have all it looks the videos that have come out of that whatever that transformer is looks like those those test shots. It looks, and I think we don't either. This is a test shot that because Mang Motion had it. Is it Mang Motion? Was it?
Yeah, I
Or
think
was it?
so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And and he's saying, this is going to be available on Show Z Store. The only Dinobot 2 available on Show Z Store is the TransArt one.
Yeah.
And so but the box doesn't say TransArt, and the tolerances are wonky on the but the sculpt looks great and the chrome looks great, which are trademarks of TransArt. It looks like their work.
The concern, I think, is the fact that we've seen the images of it all being shattered into a million pieces, which, if it's a test shot, fine.
Yeah.
That's why it is a test product, but it did look incredibly like it. And as you say, there's only one pre-order up for it at the moment. Why wouldn't this be? The only thing I think it could be elsewise is much like with Fans Toys under Robot Paradise.
Yeah. Well, again, but it's like with Robot Paradise, they're putting out a good quality figure. If TransArt are going, yeah, this one stinks, guys, we're not going to put our name to it, that's a dickhead maneuver. It's not kosher, is it? It's not. It's like, well, no. Yeah, we've made this, but we're just going to try and wash our hands of it and just try and sell as many as we can. Doesn't, to me, have the same. I'm trying to think of the word. Honorability as a company that pulled the release of Transmetal Megatron because the electronics didn't work, and waited until they got it right again to then go back into production. So it's like, if you're watching this TransArt, if this is it, stop the release, pull it back in, get it right. See me after school, and then get it released.
Feel the back of my hand on your face.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's got. I would say, is a very high probability it's got to be. Even though I'm not a fan of that mold, or fan of that design, I should say, I did like the chrome. I liked this bigger than Takara Dinobot. And that's not a small figure. So I think it's going to look good in the collection, even, sizing it up alongside this Megatron. And, there is another Megatron 3, Transmetal 2, if you like, to come, which they haven't teased of. But you think if they're going through everything else, they'll get to that eventually as well. So it's going to complete an image very nicely.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I didn't mention at the start, but I'll touch back on, repaints. He's currently on his little stand.
Yeah.
And again, this is shown ahead of review of what I'll do, but this is the metallic repaint re-release. Now, again, this was one of their earlier figures. I think this is BWM3. I think it's the third release. I was iffy about it, but I'll get to that when I do the review later. They've re-released this and Transmetal 1 Primal in a metallic paint release. And I haven't got the original one to compare. I know Graham from Primetime Toys has, and he said that the newer version definitely outshines it, as you'd expect. My thinking is, though, do they need to go down this route? Is it just a reissue just to make a bit of money, and they're putting another price tag on it to say, oh, but now it's got shiny paint, that Malibu Stacy line, but she's going to
just a little bit shinier. And it's with third-party companies and how they release things. I think once it's gone into the secondary market and it's no longer available in stores, I think companies should just be able to just, right, we're going to re-release that, because there's always someone who has just started collecting these figures. And have a bit of extra premium for the premium paint, but at least they're not paying premium for buying it, second hand,
Yeah.
where someone started to inflate the prices. And so I think always there's people starting to get into this hobby, and I think it's nice that when the lines are accessible to people.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Is someone like myself who just didn't pay attention first time round, and if I wanted this, I had to go on the secondary market to get it, and I was going to do so. But then I heard that reissue was coming out, and the reissue was a good £10-20 cheaper than what I was going to pay on secondary for a arguably inferior mold or inferior design paint adaptation. So yeah, I think it's good, and you're absolutely right. It gives people that opportunity to get back in. But we've seen it with Primal and Cheetor. Would we see it with Megatron, Rat Trap? Again, some of the older ones that came out first and could go for another round. And hey, it's going to generate money for them. They've got to look at it and say it sold well before, it will sell well again.
I don't know how much more metallic painted Megatron could get.
That's very true.
I think maybe it's just to bring him in line with maybe some of the newer releases. Oh, yeah, I mean, Rat Trap's had like lots of different like Fox Kids repainted versions of it as well, hasn't it?
Very true, yes.
So they're not shy of. There's an RC version of Black Arachnia from the Collectors Club.
That nobody asked for.
Yeah, well, there you go. But that's that was a Collectors Club exclusive, so it's always good to go. Hey, there you go. People have got this exclusive for the original figure. Here's a one for the third party version, not exclusive.
Absolutely. Okay, so you touched on it before then. What's next? There is a finite amount of characters. I think we'll just rattle off probably the few that they've got left because there isn't many of them. We'll get Silverbolt, Dinobot 2. We'll get Depth Charge Rampage, and probably Megatron Transmetal 2. And to my mind, that's it of the Transmetals, unless they started to go back in, or they start going down the unreleased route, all of the toys that made it out into the lore.
Yeah.
Rhinox comes to mind.
Yeah, Rhinox. That the Transmetal Waspinator. I'd love to see a big, like MP scale version of that, and Pterosaur.
Oh yeah,
but I think definitely, but I think definitely the Waspinator one. Oh, that jet, because he was one of the ones who his third mode actually looked like a third mode when he was like, I'm full on. I am a Seeker now.
I finally made it.
Yeah, I've gone from this doggy character to this jet black and red Seeker Wasp. It was just sort of like,
that's cool, isn't it?
No wonder they didn't do it in this show, because it'd just be like, how do we explain he's this much of a baller now?
He's so badass after being the comedy element. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I know you and I have spoken before. There isn't a masterpiece Waspinator, save the one that you got that turns into a helicopter, which the name escapes me, but I know you picked that up.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere. I still haven't transformed it.
But that's it. There's still no masterpiece scale Waspinator. The only ones, to my knowledge at all, is the original toy, Thrilling 30s and Kingdom. That's it. That's his representation. So TransArt, if you want, I mean, I would like them to keep with the scaling. I'd like them to go back, and given what we have recently heard about Takara Masterpiece and going into the MPG and what that's going to mean, Rhinox could be the last Masterpiece scale Beast Wars figure we see from Takara, in keeping in that range. I wouldn't mind if TransArt went and picked up Inferno and Waspinator and kind of filled in the gaps.
Yeah, I think it would be nice, but I think I'm less pessimistic about what the MPG line is. So
we'll see.
I just think it's going to mean that they're going to be dipping the toes into other lines that are further down, like Armada and etc. etc. I think they're going to start putting stuff in there, and because they've already got there's already several scales within Masterpiece. people keep saying, "Oh, it's the Masterpiece scale." There's not, because there's Masterpiece and there's Masterpiece Beast Wars, 2 different scales. And so Armada would also be a different scale, because Armada doesn't need to stick to the Sumbo scale because it's not Sumbo.
Well, to the point you just made, if we're going to go by scaling, this shouldn't be this size, should it? You know, if we're talking show accuracy and how Beast Wars figures scaled up to G1, Megatron, G1 Megatron was up here and he was floating around. But he's
Masterpiece. He's Beast Wars scale. He's Masterpiece Beast Wars scale. So that's what I mean. I don't like scale.
We
just
could
give
be
me a
here all
toy.
night talking about scale, couldn't we?
Yeah.
We could talk about it forever and a day.
So I'd like for, you know, TransArt to touch on unreleased and toy figures. Well, I don't think there's enough money in them for it.
No,
so
they've done well. They've done well to get the money and the sales out of what they've got. But yeah, if they're going to start going down, as you say, the Waspinator will be cool to see. But like to pick on one, Rhinox in his Transmetal. I had the original toy. It was fun. It was fine. It was cool. Will people look at that and go, "Wow, I must get that"? I can't see it. Not enough to run a production of it.
I don't know what you were thinking of where they'd go, or
I'm not sure. Well, I've said before where they're going to go as a bit of an off-the-cuff comment, because I can't think of anywhere else. I can see them going into Beast Machines, and they're toys that are somewhat untapped as a market. No one's really touching them. No one's really going near them.
Be a reason.
There is.
I think the problem with Beast Machines is they were deliberately ugly, and that was part of the thing with them. And so I would like them to go into car robots, RID.
Oh, nice. That would do.
I think Skybite would be the perfect bridge of the line.
Oh, yes.
I don't think there's enough. There's not really any MP Skybites, or you know, of that size. He's a beloved character. I think it'd sell well. And I'd also like to see, you know, the free cronies, the free Beast Brothers.
Yeah.
The
Megatron as well.
Megatron,
turning into like 9 different modes. So it's a bit of an ask, but
it's a bit of an ask. But you get the Galvatron out of it as well. So you know,
there's money on the table. TransArt, if you're watching, Bisto's got ideas for you. Give him a job.
And even then, if they see what they're like at making cars, get into Sideburn and Prowl and X-Brawn.
Yeah, see how it goes from there. That's a very good shout. Okay, so we've really recapped TransArt as a whole, some of their better releases, some of their not so better releases that they've thrown out. But I think it's safe to say they have won over a lot of fans. They've certainly won over you and me, Bisto, making our pickups of the year last year. And some of their releases are very well anticipated, very well looked for. But it's been a nice ride so far, TransArt. So do keep going with it with your releases. Learn from your mistakes. Any company will make mistakes. So let's hope that some of the figures are improved upon. But just to finish off, thank you very much for coming on, Bisto. Floor is over to you. We know you're a well-established YouTuber, well over 1,000 subscribers as well. So talk about your channel, what you do, what you talk about on your channel, what videos you've done before, and anything else you might have coming up.
Right. So yeah, I think my channel is well over 10 years old, at least. So I've been doing it a while. Mostly I like to talk about Transformers and other action figures. I've tried to do kind of warts and all, like I don't edit, so I'm afraid it's I just turn the camera on and try and do everything in one take.
It could be a marathon.
It can be a marathon, or you know, I've given up halfway through on some of them. Some figures have just pissed me off so much. I'm just all right. But mostly, I'm positive. I am a very positive person. I tend to like things. I like things sometimes because they're shit, you know, I like, you know, I find that endearing sometimes. What have I got coming up? I still promised to make a video about the Soundwave Dreadnought Thunder Machine from the GI Joe Transformer crossovers,
Yes.
because that is like a childhood dream in a
Yeah.
box. So I want to do a video of that at some point. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. Maybe having this conversation will get me infused to do some
Oh.
videos, which is, you know, nice. And other than that, I'll be at TF UK and TF Nation. Come and say hi.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be good for conventions to start up again. And yes, if you want to come and see Bisto and give him a fist bump in the flesh, I'm sure he will be open to the idea as you see him on his channel do so. Bisto, do enjoy your videos, mate. Really do keep up the good work. And you have got a long tenure on YouTube. It was so great to see you stick it out. And so if a video comes up this weekend, I'll certainly watch it myself, as will many people. But thanks very much for coming on, and thanks very much at home for watching. And as always, I will see you on the next one.